I'm holding one of the most expensive carabiners I've ever had. It's made from a titanium alloy and it comes in at around $45. This is made by Rovyvon and it's called the U4 Pro Plus. I've had a Rovyvon flashlight before on the channel and was impressed with their quality. I actually requested that they send me something for review, and this is what they sent. So let's check it out. This carabiner is made from titanium, which is known for its strength to weight ratio, corrosion resistance, and resistance to temperature. It's also more complex and expensive to manufacture, hence the price. But what does this carabiner bring to the table? Well, looking at the design of it, there's one locking gate, but two sections. So this bottom section here would be most likely where you would put your keys, and the top one would be where you clip it onto your pants or belt loop, whatever. The bottom section has this pronounced hook. Even when the gate is open a little bit, it's still pretty well protected, and you most likely won't lose your keys very easily. Being a titanium carabiner, it is also extremely lightweight at 0.86 ounces. So it doesn't even weigh 1 ounce. It's not just a carabiner, it has a couple extra tools on it. So if you look at either side here, you'll see these little buttons, and if you press that, it will release a tool. And this one has a small knife blade, which is actually a scalpel. And you can press that button in, and it unlocks the blade to close it. The lock is nice because, well, it's not going to accidentally come open. Having a scalpel blade on there is a good choice. It's actually replaceable as well. And the one I got sent came with a few replacement blades, so that's nice. Once it inevitably gets dull, you could just go ahead and replace that blade. Scalpel blades are extremely thin and extremely sharp. And just to show how sharp this actually is, I'm going to stand that piece of paper up, freestanding. It can cut straight down. Without even touching the paper. You're not going to do anything crazy with this knife. Obviously, with the size, you're pretty limited in what you could do, but it's just there for small stuff, opening a package, stuff like that. And if I used this for my keys, I would eliminate this SOG key knife that I've had for a while. I've used it a few times. It has come in handy. I am usually carrying a pocket knife around anyway. Having the knife on the actual carabiner frees up your keys a little bit. And because they're removable, I've seen a couple people say that, you know, if you need to go somewhere where you can't have a knife blade, you can actually just take that out and not have to worry about that. But on the other side, you can unlock this and you actually have a bit driver with a flat and a Phillips bit. They're really small and you're pretty limited on what you can do with that, but it might work for a couple things. And if you figure what size this is, you can actually swap the bits out. It's magnetic, so it holds it in there pretty good. And also on the flip side of that, you have a little ruler that measures 2 centimeters, which is like 0.78 inches for us Americans. It's really small, and I can't really see many times where I would actually use this. I'm sitting there like, yep, you know, that's 1 or 2 centimeters. Maybe there's something it's needed for, but I haven't needed something like that yet. And if I did, I'd just be like, yep, that's an inch or so. But, you know, it's on there. But there is kind of an elephant in the room with this, and that's, you know, why would you actually buy this? Well, you wouldn't buy this because you're looking for functionality or practicality for a tool, especially for the price. If you were buying it for the tools, for less money, you could get a Swiss Army knife that has a lot more tools and much better tools. If you were just getting it for tools, for the same price, you could get a Leatherman Rev, which is a multi-tool and has pliers. I mean, there's just no comparison there. And for a little bit more, you could get a Skeletal, which is a very nice product. So you're definitely not buying this for the tools. But it is a carabiner, probably for holding your keys. Well, in that case, you could just get one of these cheap aluminum ones, or, you know, one of these steel ones. even a plastic one if you wanted to go really, really lightweight. And what do these cost? You know, it's like a couple dollars for these. And even for, you know, $10 to $12, you could get some really nice locking carabiners. Well, what has to be understood is that this type of product is in a niche market, and that is EDC. And I don't just mean normal EDC like what you're just normally carrying around every day, but specifically the EDC community. I'm talking about the people who carry pocket art or tiny little titanium pry bars that cost over $100 and they've probably never used and probably wouldn't be useful for much. It's just fun for some people to have that stuff in their pockets. I'm not trying to knock any of that. Do what makes you happy, but some people are not into that stuff. This type of stuff is sometimes referred to as pocket jewelry. It's expensive, doesn't really provide much over the basic things, if at all, but it is a nice quality made piece. A carabiner being made out of titanium over aluminum or steel, it's cool to some people, and worth that extra cost to have something they enjoy. Having said that, it is cool. I like how light it is. I like the multiple compartments and how the little gate works with the hook. Having the knife blade on there is very useful, and I also like the design. It's stylish if that's something you were going for. However, I don't think that I would personally buy it. Reviewing this at no cost allows me to just look at the product itself and judge it on that. And I do like it, but considering the price of around $45, that's why I probably wouldn't buy it and just continue to use the cheap carabiners. I hope Rovyvon doesn't hate me for saying that, but I just have to be honest. At the price point, it's just something I wouldn't spend the money on. If you're someone who wants nice things in your pocket, you could make a case for this. I'm not necessarily that type of person, but I will say I've had one of these. I've actually had multiple of this type of design fail on me before. The spring is just kind of pushed in there a little bit, and sometimes that spring will just come off or slip off, and the gate will fail, and you know it won't spring back. And that happened on my keys before, and I just replaced it with another cheap one. I didn't lose my keys because usually I'm just putting it in my pocket, but that would suck if you lost your keys that way. So maybe it is worth getting a nicer carabiner. Something to think about.